Good morning, I'm Emmeline and this is our channel, Emmeline and Dean Travel. Yesterday we travelled to Bali for the first time in 2024. We were here in 2023 but we came back because we loved it so much, thought we'd give it another go. Dean is asleep. We didn't get a lot of sleep during our travel, I'm not going to lie, and last night our body clock was all over the place. So I thought I'm going to get up, shoot this video, get you all the information you need to know about travelling to Bali in 2024. So everything from booking your flights, to the visas, to the new levy that was introduced this year, where to stay, transportation, SIM cards, cash, and a little bit more information as well. So stay tuned and I'll cover it all in this video. So the very first thing that you're going to want to think about when planning your trip to Indonesia, Bali, is which flights you need to book. There is generally quite a lot of choice in price range between flights. You can fly directly from the UK and other European countries, not sure about America and Canada, but it's going to cost you a lot more money. On the opposite end of the scale, there are flight routes that take maybe 2 or 3 stops, which involves a layover in potentially multiple different countries, which generally does make your trip cheaper, but in turn it will make your travel time a lot longer. When we were looking, there were options like this, but they could take sometimes up to 40 hours, which for us just isn't really desirable. So we went for something in the middle. We booked with Malaysian Airlines. It was a 1 stopover flight, so we flew directly from Heathrow in London to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, where we had an hour and a half layover, and then we hopped on our second flight from Kuala Lumpur straight into Denpasar, Bali. Now the nice thing about doing this is because you've booked it all in one hit on the Malaysian Airlines website, you don't have to worry about your baggage. It automatically gets transferred from your first flight to your second flight. You just hop off the plane in Kuala Lumpur, you get yourself a little coffee in the airport, and then head to your second plane. All the information will be there on the departure boards as you would expect in any airport, so it's really straightforward. As I say, bags just go straight to Denpasar, so you'll meet them there at baggage. One little tip that we found has worked twice now when we've booked with Malaysian Airlines is when you go to book your seats, you'll see that there are some bulkhead options. These weren't an additional cost at all, they were just the same price as standard seats, which is great, but would highly recommend booking these. It does mean you're closer to the toilets, which didn't really bother us at all, you know, there was no like weird smell or anything like that. But what we found is that you get so much more legroom with these seats, and also, absolute bonus is both of our flights, we both had these bulkhead seats, and both times we had a seat free either in between us or either side of us. Not 100% sure why. We figured out on the first flight the screen in the seat wasn't working in the middle seats, maybe that's why it wasn't taken. They were keeping it spare or something like that, so we had bulkhead seats and we had an extra gap in the middle of us, as I say, on the second flight either side, so that made a huge difference. Especially when the first flight was 13 hours, second flight was 4, so it was really nice just to have that extra space. We could, you know, put some of our belongings there, we could get up, stretch, and not feel really claustrophobic. So there's a little tip if you're booking with Malaysian Airlines. Plus, I know if you book more than 1 flight with them, you get a 10% discount on future flights, so that's what we did. We flew with them last year, we got a 10% discount code that we were able to use on our flight this year, so all adds up. So when you arrive at Heathrow, in our case, this would apply to other airports as well, you'll go, you'll check in, usual process, but the lady at the counter will ask, have you got a visa? Yes or no? Have you got outbound flights? Our answer should be yes for that one. And have you got 6 months minimum on your passport? So a couple of things there to note. So you need 6 months minimum on your passport in order to enter Indonesia. Secondly, they're gonna want to see evidence of an outbound flight. So it's not just have you got an outbound flight, yes, they're going to want to see it on your device, on your printout of the dates, the times, the flight number. So really, really recommend booking that before you get to the airport, before you check in. You should really have that outbound flight. That applies for the 30-day visa, which is what most tourists will come here and apply for. If you're staying longer than that, I think the rules differ. Don't quote me on it though, because we have only ever stayed in Indonesia less than 30 days. So always worth just double checking what the rules are on that. But we had an outbound flight booked, we're going to New Zealand after this. They were happy with that. So they just showed them, she made a note in the system, and happy days. So going back to visas, she did ask us if we had our visas already or were we getting them on arrival. We opted to do ours in advance, and this is complete personal preference. You can do it on arrival if you want, but we're the kind of people where we just want to get to the destination, just fly through the airport, not have to worry about it. It is a bit of a long-winded process because you have to get all your passport details, personal info, and you'll also need the address of the accommodation you're staying at. So if you don't know that yet, before you arrive in Indonesia or by the time you want to apply for your visa, you're obviously going to have to wait. We knew where we wanted to stay. We're here in Ubud in this lovely homestay, so we had put that on our visa, and then that was happy days. The online visa came back immediately. It was like the same day. There's no wait for it to come back and be approved or anything like that. So honestly, we just recommend doing it in advance. Either in advance or in person. The cost is 500,000 IDR, so same price. You're not going to get a cheaper deal if you wait to do it on arrival. It's the same cost. I just recommend doing it in advance. You'll save yourself time in the airport. You've got it out of the way, and say the same price, so it doesn't matter either way. So a slightly new thing that was introduced February 14th, 2024 this year is you now have to pay for a levy before you come to Indonesia. When we checked in, we weren't aware of this, so the lady at the counter said, "Have you paid for it yet?" We said no. So we literally did it on our phone really quick, took less than 5 minutes, wasn't a problem at all. When we did arrive in Indonesia, there was actually a little booth section where you could do it on arrival. However, doing it in advance or doing it in person is the same price. It's 150,000 IDR per person, which is only about 7 or 8 British pounds, so it's not a lot of money. Again, we just recommend doing it in advance. Then you've done it, you can just whiz through the airport. It's sort of like a local tax that I suppose goes on environmental expenses and things like that, just to keep the area clean and tidy. So again, it's a new thing, but it's only a few pounds, so do it in advance and then it's out of the way. Next, I'm going to quickly cover vaccinations. So there aren't specific vaccination requirements if you're coming from the UK. If you're coming from other countries, we'd always check online because there are some requirements from other countries where you do have to have specific vaccinations. So if you're coming from the UK, it is really personal preference whether or not you have vaccinations or not. I'm not even going to quote what they should be because they seem to change, and again, it's personal preference, but always check the kind of local government website to your country and to Indonesia just to check what you do and don't need. One vaccination that we didn't get that we thought would we, not sure, was rabies. It's sort of a recommended one, but the chances are extremely slim, and if you do get bitten by a dog or monkey or whatever it might be, even with the vaccine, they still recommend you go and see a health professional and get another rabies jab, whether you have or haven't got the vaccine. So it was kind of like one of those where we were going to have to do it private. It was going to cost a load of money, but we knew if we got bit, we would have to get the vaccine anyway. So it didn't really make a lot of difference to us whether we did or didn't get it. But again, this is all complete personal preference. So having gotten onto our 2 flights, we really enjoyed our flight with Malaysian Airlines. It was clean, it was quiet. The plane was like 95% full, but again, because we had these seats next to us, the distance and the time on the plane didn't really feel as long as it did, essentially. Lots of choice of movies. The food choices were really good as well. I think we got 3 meals on our first flight and 1 meal on our second flight, including some snacks and some drinks in between as well. It was all included, so highly recommend that. So yeah, if you're debating what flights to book and you aren't 100% sure what airlines are good, we'd recommend Malaysian Airlines. I say there are plenty of other choices out there, but we really liked it. So when you touch down in Bali, you're going to get to the airport and there's a little bit of a walk all the way through to kind of customs and immigration and everything like that. Last time when we arrived at immigration, it was a really, really long process. They checked everything, including how long we were staying, obviously our passports, our visa, outbound flights. But this time they only checked our passports and asked how long we were staying. So I'm going to assume all of this information that we had done, including showing London Heathrow, our outbound flights, our visas, our levy, because all of our passport numbers were linked to all of them, I assumed that they were somehow linked and they could just pull up on their system, oh yeah, done. We got through much quicker than we did last year, so that's a plus. We queued for maybe 10 minutes and then we were with the immigration officer for about 30 seconds each and we were through to baggage. So that was really, really good, much smoother than last year, and to say you'll be out in 10 minutes. When you get through to baggage, you'll notice at the end of the room there's a load of computers. You're going to want to do a customs declaration, little online form. Basically just confirms that you're not taking any dangerous goods or anything into the country. They confirm your address, where you're staying again, and some personal information. This takes about 5 minutes per person to fill out and is completely free. You get a little receipt which has a little barcode on it, so when you exit the airport they'll scan it and it'll just get confirmed that you've done that. So another little thing to do. but so it only takes 5 minutes. You can do it whilst you're waiting for your baggage, because that will be just behind you. So yeah, just to bear in mind, you're going to need that information again. We just had ours obviously on our visa, where we were staying, so just pop that in and we were good to go. Having collected our baggage, we're through customs, we're through immigration, we're ready to leave the airport. You're going to be absolutely bombarded after you've gone through sort of that point of no return in an airport, with SIM card providers, with transportation options, with currency exchange options. Our biggest advice, just walk right through. SIM cards, initially you can pick them up at any town you come to. There's lots of little shops that sell them much cheaper than the airport. Transportation, you're going to be bombarded with taxi drivers coming up to you, offering you prices of where you're going. Again, just walk right through. When you get just outside the airport, there are Grab and Gojek counters, and they will essentially offer to book your taxi for you. They'll come straight into the airport, collect you from the airport and take you to your destination. So we did quickly ask on our way out how much this was going to cost. We already had a plan for this though. And from the airport to Ubud, which is where we are now, it was going to cost around 500,000 IDR, which is about £25. We knew we could get that cheaper, because what we did last time is we took a short 5-10 minute walk max outside the airport to a hotel called the Harris Hotel. It is just outside the airport entrance, I promise you, but you have kind of got to walk around a little loop to get to it. You can't just walk straight across the road because there's a barrier there. So recommend doing that. You'll get to the Harris Hotel, you can just stand outside with your baggage, use their free Wi-Fi and book a Grab from there. So for us, that cost us 290,000 IDR. So recommend that. Walk into the Harris Hotel and you're good to go. On that though, depending on where you're going, may differ on obviously how long you're in your taxi for. We thought the journey was going to be just over an hour, but it ended up being nearly 2. So we'd highly recommend obviously using the toilet facilities, and also get yourself a bottle of water each just so you've got it, because you may be sat in a car for quite some time. And finally, currency exchange. We would recommend bringing enough currency with you from home that will last 2 or 3 days, and then there are an abundance of currency exchange places and ATMs again in any city you come to, so you can get more out as and when you need it. Then you haven't got to carry around a load of currency as well, so just keep the minimum on you. If you need more, you can get more out, so that's not a problem at all. Alright, so that is all of the information that you will need travelling from specifically the UK to Bali, Indonesia in 2024. Always double check this information. It seems to change quite regularly, as we've seen from last year to this year, so do your research always, but hopefully this gives you a little bit of an insight as to what to expect if you're coming this year, everything you need to do in advance or say on arrival, and a couple of tips along the way in regards to transport and flights and things like that. So hope you find that handy. We are now in Ubud in this lovely homestay, which we will link below. It's really nice. We've got a double room and ensuite to ourselves, and breakfast is included as well, so we absolutely love it here. We stayed here last year, so we decided to come back. It's really central in the middle of Ubud as well. Everything is walking distance, from Monkey Forest to, there's some really good little shopping outlets and things like that here. There's a temple, loads and loads of food and restaurant options just outside the front door, so highly recommend coming and staying here if you're in Ubud. So yeah, hope you found all that helpful, and if you did, give us a like and a subscribe, or if you have any other questions, comment. Check out our Instagram as well. We post regular little travel tips and tricks on there as well, so do check that out, and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye!